Hello children, and welcome to another session on grammar and usage. Today we will be focusing only on module 4, and we shall try to do as many exercises as possible. So I suggest or I advise you to have or to keep a pen and a book, a notebook with you, so that you can write down the exercises or the sentences, and you will be able to do it along with me. All of us, both of us will do it together. I shall give you the answers. At the same time, I want you to write it down in your notebook. All right, so let's begin. We did start with simple present tense. Now, we studied the 3 tenses last video. We studied the 3 tenses and the different forms of tenses. The present tense, we started with the present tense, and we started with the simple present, the first form of present tense, simple present tense. Now, what is a simple present tense then? A verb that refers to the present time is said to be in the present. Like for instance, I write, I read, I study, you write, you read, you study, he writes, he reads, he studies. She writes, she reads, she studies. It writes, it reads, it studies. So you get the idea, right? So for the first person and the second person, the verb is in the base form, whereas when you come to the first person, second person, singular, and also the first person, second person, and the third person, plural also, the verb is in the base form, okay? But in the third person, singular, the verb changes. It takes an S, an addition of S is added. We studied that, you know it as well. So let's move on with some of the exercises. So simple present tense, always, then we'll move to the theory part. Okay, simple present tense describes actions that always happens. Okay, so let's analyze them one by one. A habitual action or even facts. Right? So when we move to the theory, we'll explain all that. But right now, I want you to look at or focus on the slide here. There is a cartoon strip, okay? And I want you to focus on this cartoon strip, all right? Now, this is a picture, a cartoon of a boy called Mo. His name is Mo, okay? And he has a friend called Snapper. The crocodile that you see there, yes, he is Snapper. Okay, so you have Mo, the characters are Mo and Snapper. Mo goes to school and he has a book with him. He is reading a book on foxes. He is reading about foxes. Okay, so remember the foxes are in plural, right? So Mo says, foxes are beautiful animals. Snapper gets very angry. Snapper is Mo's friend, and Kushumbo annattu parayanu, crocodiles are more beautiful. Foxes are beautiful animals. Crocodiles are more beautiful. In the next strip you will find Mo keeps reading. Foxes have got soft fur and they are very clever. They always hunt at night, you know. Then Snapper gets all the more angry and says, crocodiles are much cleverer. And look at the next strip. Foxes eat mice, rats, birds and rabbits. Snapper gets very angry and says, and crocodiles eat boys who talk about foxes all the time. So it's a funny cartoon strip. But did you look at the dialogues? If you look at the dialogues, you will find that all the dialogues in the cartoon strip are written in simple present tense. Okay, foxes are beautiful animals. They are talking about a fact. Okay, crocodiles are more beautiful. Crocodiles are more beautiful. But that needn't be a fact, but crocodile is trying to assert the fact that all animals are beautiful. Foxes have got soft fur. Foxes. Because foxes is plural, you have foxes when it comes to the third person plural. Third person plural, foxes. The plural form, they, foxes. Have. So foxes, they are the third form of plural. They come here, children, boys, teachers, foxes. Yes, so what do we use? Have. Whereas has is used in front of singular. He has, she has, it has, Mo has, Snapper has, Fox one has, whereas foxes have. Alright, so foxes have got soft fur. They are very clever. They always hunt at night. They hunt. Why they hunt and not they hunts? Because again, the third person, which one? The third person, plural, it always takes the base form of the verb, hunt. Whereas fox, if it is the third person singular, fox hunts, whereas foxes hunt. Fox one, what is it? Fox hunts, whereas foxes, plural, hunt, no S. It's called subject agreement with the verb, right? Okay, so I'm not going to confuse you more. I hope you got the cartoon strip. I hope you understood that it is written in simple present tense. Yes? Now let's move on to the next slide and try to answer the questions. Alright, now I want you to tick mark truths, whether it is to state true or false. According to what Mo has read to you, foxes always hunt during the day. Is it true or false? Obviously it is false, right? Because Mo says they always hunt. Foxes always hunt at night. They don't hunt in during the day. They hunt at night. So there he is speaking to you about a fact. Alright, foxes hunt during the night. It's a fact which happens always. Alright, it's a feature of the foxes or the wolves. The foxes, they hunt always they always hunt at night. It is a scientific fact or a fact. Alright, so it is, what is it? Foxes always hunt during the day is false. Foxes eat mice or boys? Foxes eat mice. Foxes eat mice. True, is it not? Foxes eat mice. So foxes, what is it? Foxes is plural, and therefore the verb will be in the plural form, and to make the verb into the plural, that is, it is in the third person plural, and therefore you will only use the base form of the verb. It does not take the S. So foxes eat, cut off the S. Alright, fox on the other hand, what if the question was fox? Fox then eats, whereas foxes eat. Alright, now let's move on to the next slide. So what is it that you are supposed to remember? In present simple, the present simple is to talk about things that you do again and again, that is habitual action. Foxes hunt at night. It's a truth. It is a habitual action. Foxes eat mice, rats, birds, and rabbits. Mo. Who's Mo? Mo is that boy, the little boy you saw in the cartoon strip. Mo goes to school every day. Snapper reads a lot of comics. Now it's a cartoon, so Snapper is like Doraemon, yeah, it's a friend of Mo. So Snapper, when Mo is not at home, he reads most of the comics, the comic books of Mo. So Snapper reads a lot of comics. Okay, so look at that word, look at the sentence once more. The first two are plural. Foxes hunt at night. So the verb is also in the plural. To make the verb into the plural, it's just the opposite of singular and plural of nouns. What should you do? You should cut off the S. Foxes hunt at night. You get only the base form. Foxes eat mice. What about the next two? Mo is the child, the boy. It is singular. So you have to add to make the verb into the singular. It's just the opposite of singular and plural of the nouns. The nouns. Now what? I don't know if I'm confusing you. How do you make singular and plural of nouns? Boy, singular. Boys, plural. So what do you do there? In boy you have no S, right? Girl, boy, flower, you don't have S there, right? So the singular form does not take the S, whereas when you make it into the plural, the singular, so the plural form takes an S. Boys, girls, flowers, okay, classes, videos, etc. Now what should you do to make the verbs also has singular and plural? The verbs are also should follow the singular plural law, but it is just the opposite of the singular plural rule of the nouns. That means what you did to the nouns, you should do the opposite to the verbs. When the verb is in the singular, you must add an S, and when the verb is in the plural, you must cut off the S. So it's just the opposite of singular plural of nouns. Clear? So that is why foxes hunt at night. What did we do to make the verb agree with the plural form of the noun? We cut off the S. See this? Here the plural form of the noun has an S. That's what we did. Now it's the opposite for the verbs. We cut off the S. Clear? Now come to the next one. Mo is singular. The child is one. So it is singular. And what did we do to make the verb agree with the singular form of noun? We add an S. Now since it is go, it is a special verb, so you have to put ES to it. That's the spelling rule. So goes. Snapper is singular, that crocodile, one. So snapper reads, adding an S. I hope you got the idea of it. Okay, now we shall move on to the next slide. I want you to write it down in your notebook. All right. Yes. So the first one has already been done for you. The first one is already done. I often write letters at the weekend. Now, I is an exception. Though it is singular, you cannot add S to I. Alright? It is an exception. Though it is singular, it is the first person singular. We cannot add S to the first person singular nor to the second person singular. So where do we add this S this S, adding the S happens only in the third person singular, that is he, she, it and names, any names. Any names, but it should be in the singular. Here it is Mo is that boy, one. If I am to take off your example, Sham is Ali, one. Okay, then Sharon, Shahana, one. Fahad, one. Hansel, one person. So that fits into third person singular, and that is the area where you take the S. The rest of the areas you do not take the S, the verb is in the base form. Again, we will have exceptional cases when we come to questions and all. There will be slight differences. I'll tell you how it's done. Now the first one, I often write letters at weekend because I is an exceptional case. You do not put S to it. I write only. I write letters at the weekend. What's the next one? Mo, which section does it fit into? The third person singular. Mo fits into the third person singular, one person. Okay, name singular, one. Mo. So Mo walks to school every day. So the verb has to agree with which one? With the noun. The noun is in the singular form. The verb should also be in the singular form. To make the verb into the singular, what should we do? We should add an S there. The third person singular will take an S with the verb. Okay, the base form of the verb. So walks to school every day. Mo walks to school every day. What is it? Siyad walks to school every day. Nitya walks to school every day. So singular, all right? Okay, the teacher walks to school every day. Clear? Now, look at the next one. Snapper. Who's Snapper? Snapper is that crocodile that you saw earlier in the picture. So Snapper helps Mo with his homework every night. Snapper is one, singular, third person singular. So the verb must agree with the noun which is in the singular. To make the verb into the singular, what should we do? Add an S. So Snapper helps Mo with his homework every night. Clear? Now look at the next one. We don't, what should we do? We, which category does it come under? We is the first person plural. So I said exception or adding the S, making it into the subject. Now we is the plural form. So we don't go to bed before 9 o'clock. We don't go to bed before 9 o'clock. Not we don't goes to bed before 9 o'clock. It is we don't go to bed before 9 o'clock. What's the next one? They. They play football on Saturdays. They will take the base form of the verb. Okay, so as we said, they is the plural form. To make the verb into the plural, cut off the S. They, plural. Which is the verb? Play. Play, to make the verb into the plural, cut off the S. So therefore we shouldn't be using, we don't have to think too much. We have already studied this table. In this table, where do we add S? We add S only here in this section. That is the third person singular, he, she, it, and name as of the singular. If you study this table also, it's fine. It's much easier for you to remember. If not, just think like this: plural noun, plural the verb. To make the verb into the plural, cut off the S. So they play football on Saturdays. So it's all about understanding whether the noun is in the singular and the plural, because the verb should agree with the subject. Alright, that's what the subject agreement of the verb is all about. We also studied simple present tense. Now let's move on to the next slide. Now, this is what I was telling you about. You don't have to confuse yourself too much. I, we, you, they. I, we, you, they, when the sentence is in the positive, will always take the base form of the verb. I walk. You walk. I told you I is an exception. Though it is singular, it is an exception. So I walk. You walk. We walk. You as a plural, the whole class. You walk. They walk. Children walk. Boys walk. Teachers walk. So all this, when the sentence is positive, they take the base form of the verb. And what about the third person singular? They are the only ones who are exceptional. So here he, she, it and singular names, they always take the S to the verb. You have to add an S to make them agree with the subject. So walks, he walks, she walks, it walks, Mo walks, boy walks, girl walks, teacher walks, and so on. Alright? But when you come to the negative, now that's what I said, it could be tricky sometimes. When you come to the negatives, what is the negative? When you have a not in the word. I don't walk to school. You don't walk to school. Then what about he, she, it? He, she, it. Instead of saying don't, because don't goes with the plural form. Okay, don't is with the plural form and the I form. Alright? Whereas when you come to he, she and it, to make the subject, the verb in the singular is doesn't. The word is doesn't. He doesn't walk to school. She doesn't walk to school. It doesn't walk to school. Not he don't walk to school. Not she don't walk to school. Not it don't walk to school. That's incorrect way of saying. Alright? That's wrong. So he doesn't walk to school. She doesn't walk to school. It doesn't walk to school. So that is when you have it in the negative. When you have a negative sentence. So I don't walk to school. You don't walk to school. He doesn't walk to school. She doesn't walk to school. It doesn't walk to school. Mo doesn't walk to school. We don't walk to school. You, the whole class, don't walk to school. They don't walk to school. Children don't walk to school. Teachers don't walk to school. And so on. I know you might find this boring. Why are you repeating it? You could be asking, but the trouble is repetition and practice makes your grammar perfect, because I often see this grammatical mistake in your notebook. Your notebook is full of this mistake. Though you know the grammar rules, you're not able to use them in your conversation because you haven't observed the rules carefully. You have to observe them, not just observation. I gave you some tips and tricks in the first few classes. So not just observation, but using them in your conversation is also of utmost importance. Now let's move on to the next slide. Look at the slide here. Snapper eat a lot of biscuits. You're supposed to rewrite or correct the verb and make the verb agree with the noun. Snapper again is singular. So how would you write? Snapper eats a lot of biscuits. What about Mo? It is a negative sentence. Mo not play hockey. So that is a negative sentence. When you have not or no, it is a negative sentence. So Mo not play hockey. Mo singular, third person singular. What should we do? We should add does or doesn't. Here it is a negative sentence, so it is doesn't. So Mo doesn't play hockey. All right, Mo doesn't play hockey. Spike, what's the next one? Spike, we don't have the picture of Spike. I'll be showing the picture of Spike very soon. Spike is also a character in this book. It's a beautiful book. You can order it online if you want, because this is something that, beautiful picture, colorful pictures, and making grammar seem less or not very hostile is all that matters. Because grammar, when you hear grammar, the first thing that comes to your mind is a kind of fear, yeah, an inhibition, a fear. So to simmer it down. It's always nice to get books that have pictures. Even Wren and Martin, they have changed their old pattern. They have made Wren and Martin more colorful, but still it's more like, a very serious tone. Of course, you have to follow Wren and Martin and also Raymond Murphy. Raymond Murphy is the book that has been prescribed to you. This is Raymond Murphy. It comes in essential, intermediate and advanced grammar. So you also have a big thick book on grammar by Raymond Murphy. That's what you are supposed to get, supposed to read, because you are graduate students or you are undergraduate students. So you are supposed to buy that book, but it's always nice. I would definitely recommend something that is more childish, because it simmers down, it makes you love grammar instead of making you feel scared. Of course, you have to use this book, but this is the book that I've been talking about, the Grammar Lab. It is an Oxford University Press publication. You get it online, and it's beautifully told and it's beautifully written. You don't actually need anybody's help. So if you are planning to improve your grammar, you can definitely get this book. So coming back to the topic, Spike listen to loud music. Spike singular. So you have to make the verb agree with the noun. Noun is singular. So you have to make the verb, which is the verb here, listen is the verb, agree with the noun. To make the verb into the singular, what should you do? You should add an S. So Spike listens to loud music. What's the next one? Millie. Millie is, the sentence is in negative. So Millie not read newspapers. Okay, so it's like most of our children, they also don't have the habit of reading newspapers. Okay, Millie not read newspapers. So Millie, what should you add? Should you add don't or doesn't? You must add doesn't. Millie, he doesn't, she doesn't, it doesn't, Millie doesn't. Okay, Millie doesn't read newspapers. Okay, Millie doesn't read newspapers. Okay, or Millie does not read newspapers. Anyhow you can say. I used the verb contraction. Verb contraction is, instead of saying does not, I used doesn't. Okay. Okay. So the last one, most parents go to the theatre. Now this I'm going to leave it to you because you have already studied some basic grammar. So I want you to find out whether parents is in singular form or plural form. And once you are done with that, write the rest. Make the verb agree with the noun. And this I will pick up in the discussion session. Alright? Now we shall move on to the next slide. When it comes to questions and answers, giving short answers in simple present tense, this is how you ask short questions and give short answers. Do I run? Do we run? Do you run? Do they run? So the answer to it would be, yes, I do. I run. So yes, do you run? Do I run? Yes, I do. Next one. Do we run? Yes, we do. Next one. Do you run? Yes. What is it? You run. Okay? Or I run. When it is asked as a question, do you run? You can say, yes, I run. Or do you run? Yes, you run. Do they run? Yes, they do. So, yes, I do. Yes, we do. Yes, you do. Yes, they do. So, do I run? Do we run? Do you run? Do they run? The answers, the short answer, the short question will fetch the short answer like this. Yes, I do. Or yes, we do. Or yes, you do. Or yes, they do. If it is negative, if you don't run, if you don't have the habit of jogging or doing exercise, then you can say, no, I don't. No, we don't. No, you don't. No, they don't. Alright? Now, when it comes to the third person singular, which is a third person singular? He, she, it, and names as of singular. Does he run? Yes, he does. Does she run? Yes, she does. Does it run? Yes, it does. Then, if it is a no, if the answer is no, does he run? No, he doesn't. Does she run? No, she doesn't. Does it run? No, it doesn't. Got the idea? Yeah. Now let's answer a couple of questions look at the next slide and try to answer these questions. Does Snapper go to school? You'll have to look at that cartoon strip and then answer the question. So does Snapper is the crocodile, does he go to school? Does Snapper go to school? Does Mo go to school? Do you eat a lot of biscuits? If you eat a lot of biscuits, you can say yes. If it is a no, you can say no. Again, you have to write it accordingly. Do your friends watch television? Does your English teacher teach maths? Oh, that would be wonderful if I am to teach maths. Okay, does your English teacher teach maths? No, not at all. Okay, all right. Does Snapper go to school? It's already written. No, he doesn't. Now, we will take this up in the discussion session. So you'll have to be ready, you'll have to write it down. I'm not going to help you, I've already given you clear-cut idea of how to do it. The simple present tense, we're talking about simple present tense here, and I've already told you how to answer the short questions and give the short answers using don't and does. Alright, now we will move on to the next slide. Now, you have studied adverbs of frequency. Now, what are adverbs of frequency? How often? It asks the question how often. Like for instance, usually, always, rarely, sometimes. All these are adverbs of frequency. You have adverbs of manner, you have adverbs of place, you have adverbs of time, adverbs of frequency. Yeah, so in adverbs of frequency you have always, often, sometimes, rarely. These are words that come under adverbs of frequency. Now in front you can use adverbs of frequency with the present simple or the simple present tense. Like for instance, foxes always hunt at night. Snapper often laughs at more. I hope you understood the rules. Foxes is plural, so that's why you have hunt. Foxes always hunt at night. Always, the word always gives you the idea of a habitual action, that a routine that the kingdom of, or sorry, the animal, the foxes, they always hunt at night. That's a fact. So Snapper often laughs at Mo. So Snapper always makes fun of Mo. So Snapper's attitude is shown, his attitude of always making fun of Mo. So Snapper often laughs at Mo. So Snapper is singular, that's why you have laughs. Fox is plural, that's why you have hunt. Subject agreement with the verb. Fox is plural, hunt, verb in the plural. Verb in the plural, cut off the S. Snapper, singular, noun in the singular, subject in the singular. Subject the verb has to agree with the subject. So the verb, to make the verb, what is it? Singular. Add S, opposite of singular, plural of nouns. Clear? Alright, now we'll move on to the next slide. So you are supposed to use the one that I gave you right now, that is adverbs of frequency. You have to use adverbs of frequency to answer these questions. Now the first one is already done for you. Foxes eat often mice and birds. Now it's jumbled. All you have to do is correct it and make the, you don't even have to do that, everything is done for you. All you have to do is rearrange the words and make it into meaningful sentences. So foxes often eat mice and birds. What's the next one? Snapper goes to school rarely. Snapper rarely goes to school. Okay? Hits Mo, sometimes bites. So all the rest of it, I'm not going to do it for you. Again, it's your homework. You're going to we'll take this up in the discussion session. I want everybody to write it down. Everyone. We'll just call out your roll number, and when I call it out, you have to send the picture of what you have done. And again I tell you, there is no shortcut to learning grammar. Okay, practice, practice and practice alone makes you perfect. And if you're really interested in making the most of this class, please practice, please pay attention and practice along with me. So I'll take this up in the discussion session and we'll move on to the next slide. Okay. Okay, now the new characters. Okay, these are snaffle wags. Okay, they are kind of not elephants, not horses. They're kind of creatures of the cartoon kingdom. Okay, so these are snaffle wags. Now it's again very cartoon things, but what you have to do is you will have verbs given to you. We'll go into the next slide, you'll understand that. It's all about them, how they live and their habitual actions, their routine. It's about their routine. Okay, so what you have to do is fill up the blanks and you have the verbs given to you in the bracket. You have to check whether it is in the singular or the plural and make it agree with the subject. We'll move on to the next slide. Yes. So the first one again is already done for you. The snaffle wag. It's a group of creatures. Okay. The snaffle wag. It is in singular form. The snaffle wag lives. It's a group. Again, a collective. So it's not plural. It's singular. The snaffle wag lives underground. So where do they live? They live underground. First, what will you write? So you don't have to worry about what this thing is. Is it really there? Should I Google and search? Don't do anything of that sort. All you have to do is look at the word it. Make the word find agree with it. So it comes here, third person singular, it. So what will you do? You will add an S to the verb. It, what is it? It finds. The verb is find. So it finds. You have to make it agree with the noun. The noun is it, the third person singular. It will, to make the verb into the singular, to make it agree with the verb, to make the verb agree with the subject it, singular, you add S. It finds a safe place near a tree to make a home. And the rest of it again you are supposed to do. So this is the first one, the rest will come to you. We'll move on to the next slide. You can just pause if you want and write the answers to it and then move on to the next slide because the rest of it will come to you right now. The next slide. It's a big paragraph. So again, yeah. So the numbers are also given to you. So just pause for a while, write the answers. Then we have around 14 of those sentences. You have 13th one here. You will find it in the next slide. The 14th one you will find in the next slide. Okay. So this is the paragraph. Write the paragraph, write down the subject agreement of the verb and it should be in simple present tense. It is in simple present tense obviously. So that's it for today. Practice, practice, practice to make your grammar perfect. So write it down and I'll see you in the discussion class. Next class, again we will continue with simple present tense, but in the next class we will go to a higher level because I don't want to scare you. We will be using this and this together. We will move on to Raymond Murphy. You can get either the essential English grammar if you feel your grammar is not up to the mark. You can get the essential, the basic English grammar of Raymond Murphy, or you can go for intermediate English grammar by Raymond Murphy. You can also go for the big large textbook on grammar by Raymond Murphy, and I am pretty sure that you should all be having this book at home, Wren and Martin. And nowadays it comes, back in our days it was like not a very colorful book. It was very gloomy, very grim, very dreary, very boring. But now it comes like this. It's more colorful, but the contents are the same. It's more serious level. You should be having all these at home so that you will be able to do or speak well and write good English. Thank you and stay home, stay safe. Thank you.